This meeting is being recorded.
Yes, guys, welcome back to the LG Fitness podcast. I have a very special guest with me today, the very first guest of the podcast. And I thought it was only right that I bring this man on. If you've been following me for a little while, back in 2021, during the lockdown era, we used to jump on many Instagram lives together and bring a lot of value to you guys in terms of like health and fitness topics. So like I said, I thought it was only right that I bring this man on. So it was with great pleasure that I get to welcome onto the podcast the man, the myth, the legend, good friend and fellow coach, James McIntyre. How you doing, man?
Thank you, sir. Very kind words. Yeah, rolling back the years, as we say.
Absolutely.
3 years ago.
100%, man. 100%. Yeah, I thought it would. Do you know how many times I've practiced that intro as well today? I've been practicing that over and over, making sure I got that spot on. But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about goal setting today. Obviously, myself and James are both coaches, and we obviously work with clients who are looking to drop body fat, looking to get in better shape, and obviously other goals as well. So obviously we want to talk about that and the importance of setting goals, goal setting, and how you can start going about setting your very own goals. But before we obviously get into that, James, for anyone that doesn't know you, anyone that isn't aware of you and what you do, can you just give us a little bit of a background on yourself and how you're here?
We'll start at birth.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, whole life story.
I start with coaching. Yeah. So, well, I used to live in Warminster. For those who don't know me, where Lewis currently lives, or you in Westbury?
No, yeah, I mean, I live in Warminster, work in the gym in Westbury.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, long story short, I'll keep it relatively short. Moved down to Bournemouth now, 8 years ago. Started personal training my own business properly because I was doing some in Warminster in 2017. I coach mainly in person, some stuff online. Just general population, really. Most of you listen to this. Like Lewis said, those who want to lose body fat, get healthier, get fitter, etc. So yeah, I've been coaching now for 7 years, mainly in person, like I said. And yeah, me and Lewis have linked up quite a few times.
Few collaborations.
And yeah, love it. Really enjoy it. So that's where we are. That's and yeah, 7 years. So which is crazy. So
it's flown by, right?
We did a couple of challenges together, haven't we? Back in the lockdown. So
yeah, we did a few group coaching challenges together, which was it was good fun. That was a good introduction for me anyway, for online coaching and that sort of space, which was really good experience.
Well, you're transforming half of Warminster, aren't you? So
we're trying. The Warminster will be the fittest town in the country at some point. That's the goal. But yeah, obviously speaking a little bit about goals, obviously we sort of spoke about in terms of the clients that we coach, the people that want to get in better shape and things like that. Tell us a little bit about maybe your goals. Have you got any current goals, anything that you've worked towards in the past? And yeah, what are you doing now, essentially?
Well, I've done quite a few things. Currently training for a high rocks that I haven't got booked yet because I can't book on to. So I'm putting all this effort into this thing I actually haven't got a space on, and it's quite hard. I want to do a UK one, but I'll be doing one of them. That's not too far. So I don't know if people have heard of high rocks. Most people probably have. It's like I wouldn't say it's the same as CrossFit, but it's got elements of it inside. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know what high rocks is, probably the best thing to do is Google it. There's an event where you can do it on your own as a partner or as a quad, so a group of 4. You could do that mixed sex as well, which is great. And you've got, the long and short of it is you got a mixture of running / certain workout stations. Like, for example, you'd have like a sled push. So you do a kilometer run, then you would do a sled push. You do a kilometer run, sled pull. We do a kilometer run, rower. Not that this isn't the order, by the way, but yeah, it's quite. I'm going to do it on my own, so probably the hardest way to do it. But got plenty of time to prepare. So training is fucking hard. training
You can
is
you
hard.
can swear if you want to swear. You can
Okay,
swear.
cool. Oh yeah, you're not woke, are you? So,
Yeah, no.
um, yeah, it's hard, but going well. Yeah, that's what I'm currently working towards. Done a photo shoot recently. As Lewis has done a photo shoot, as
Yep.
those of you follow him are aware of. And I think that the most important thing to note here is I never used the gym until I was 18.
Yep.
I used to just play football like I used to do, but I know that seems ages ago now, but people get into the gym much younger, and I until I discovered what I really loved, I didn't really like training at all. I used to hate it. And I'm sure a lot of people in the same boat, really. And you don't have to do things as extreme as photo shoots, as like I've done an ultra marathon and marathons. You don't have to do it's you find what sort of you are interested in. And I think we can touch on this today, but the best bit of advice is because a lot holds a lot of people back is, and we all do this, and you see it very common now is just not committing is I wanted it's just thinking about it and over analyzing and thinking of the right time, and none of that exists. What I found helpful with my things is I think of it and I literally commit to it straight away.
Yep.
Um,
Love that.
and when I remember when I fought my marathon, I booked it. I thought, oh, I'll do a marathon. I literally booked it that day.
Fair
And
play.
you can easily put it off, and this will go like massively. We can go into this because with goal setting, like this sort of stuff is actually making a commitment, whether it's booking a thing or it may not have to be a certain event, is you have to make that commitment either to the thing or yourself. Otherwise, you're going to massively struggle. So yeah, that's what I'm sort of working towards at the moment. Long way to go for the high rocks. It'll probably be a good almost a year, I reckon, until I do it. So we've got plenty of time to get fit.
Yeah, plenty of time, man. So yeah, I've
Yeah.
obviously touched a little bit on it there in terms of like the benefits of having goals and why it is important to have goals. And I
Yes.
think you're absolutely spot on in terms of having something like that commitment to yourself. I think a lot of people will struggle with making the commitment. They're very wishy-washy in terms of, oh, I don't really know whether to do this. I don't really know whether to do that. And they sort of end up being very inconsistent as a result. And then they don't really make any sort of progress in the direction that they want to.
Yeah.
So in your experience with clients and yourself, what would you say are like the important reasons behind having goals? Obviously, we've spoke about the commitment to yourself, but why do you feel like they're important and that you would potentially need to have goals?
Well, yeah, look, we touched on it there, right? Is you end up spinning your wheels, not really doing anything. You end up struggling with low motivation. You're very inconsistent. You don't enjoy the process. Like
Yeah,
all these things. This is why um, it's important. And we can touch on goal setting because everyone seems to think, or people make it out like there's this massive chore where it doesn't have to be. Like you should sort of be inspired and excited to like going through that process, not see it as something that ugh, is
yeah,
so if you think in any area of life where you're successful, and this most people this would be some form of work, um, and or maybe people can think back to school if they finish school, right? But that you set targets with school. You set targets. What you're showing up, aren't we? Do you remember at school, like we're showing how to do it? Work, you have these like performance reviews. I remember I had a job. We've done the same sort of thing, and you have something to aim towards. Otherwise, you end up, and how often do you see this? And this used to, when I first got into the gym, I was like this initially. Like I don't clue what I was doing. I ended up chopping and changing. I ended up not really getting anywhere for a certain period of time. So the goal setting side of things is super important, and it's much more simple than you think. Um, so yeah,
yeah, for sure. And obviously, we'll go into that a little bit. Would
yes, of
you
course.
say, on a personal level, is having a goal do you always have a goal? Like,
Um, No, well, it depends. I think I remember. So go back to my last. I can use myself as an example. Is probably best. Is in lockdown. I was working towards an ultra marathon. Got cancelled 8 weeks out because that's when I was meant to have it in
yep,
May, but March is when obviously COVID kicked in, and
yep,
then I was putting all this time working in towards this, and I had to sort of just keep it on. It's quite hard actually, mentally quite challenging because I didn't. I wanted. I was so like conditioned for this event that I trained for a good couple of years.
Yeah.
That I didn't know how long, obviously, that was all going to last, but I ended up doing it a year later almost. But after that, I took a period of time where I just, as it was quite intense, it was ended up like being 3 years of training
Yeah.
and pretty much a ridiculous amount of running, that I needed a little bit of break. So you can go through phases when you're working towards something where you can back off a little bit. Now, when I didn't have that goal, I just didn't not do anything. I just set myself, okay, what are some habits that I've picked up? I actually have had to back off the training where I said to myself, I'm gonna do a minimum of 3 training sessions a week. If I get 4, then great. But no pressure to do it. I'm gonna aim for strength elements and do 1 sort of conditioning cardio session. And I stayed in line with that. I had a little bit more flexibility, but I didn't completely go from 100% focused on this goal to nothing. I just had some guidelines and habits, and you can call it process-based goals, maybe, right? Something that okay, this week I'm gonna aim for this. Food-wise, I went for a period of time not tracking, but then I brought in, okay, I'm gonna track in the week and be flexible weekends. So it kept me a little bit in check, but it gave me enough to back off a little bit after a lot of physical and mental focus on this one thing.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's key, right? Because I remember when I did my photo shoot and I had a bit of a setback in terms of I booked the photo shoot and the guy that I booked the photo shoot with, he has 2 studios. So he has a studio up in Nottingham and he has a studio in London. And I had booked on to the Nottingham studio and I got there with my coach ready to, literally it was about 16 weeks of work that I put in. I was incredibly lean. I think I was about 9% body fat at the time, which was the leanest that I've ever been. Put in a lot of work in terms of like dieting, exercise, loads and loads of hours. And I was stood outside of his Nottingham studio waiting for him to open the door. And then I got a text from him and said, he said, "Where are you? Need to get started." And I said, "I'm literally outside," and sent him a picture of the door. And then he said, "Oh no, I've made a massive mistake." Turns out he was in his London studio. He obviously apologized for it. It was an error on his end. And the feeling that I had at that point was I just wanted the ground to swallow me up. It was like all of this work had just almost gone. And I had to sort of catch myself in the moment of, part of me wanted to just go, "Oh, fuck it. It's absolutely fucked," and just completely go. And luckily I had my coach with me there at the time and we sort of spoke through it. We had a little bit of a chat of like, right, what can we do? I think that's a big thing, is what we maybe spoke about before, is what can you do? I can't control the fact that this photo shoot is now over or now been cancelled. But what I can do is think of a solution. And eventually what I managed to do is I put a post out on my story just saying, are there any photographers about? And essentially we managed to book a photo shoot for 2 weeks later. And I'd had like a few holidays planned for right after this photo shoot that I had. So I still managed to go on holiday and keep things relatively in check. Had a little bit of, not so much a blowout. I went and had a few drinks. I'd not drank for like 16 weeks. Had a few drinks and stuff. Went to Benidorm actually, which was really fun.
You put that in 3 weeks.
Benidorm in
today,
it was about 2 weeks out from this next shoot, and managed to just keep things in check, keep myself ticking over, and I learned a valuable lesson of like dealing with setbacks on like when goals happen and just keeping consistent and staying
always going to occur.
100%, exactly. So that was a massive lesson for me, and it managed to sort of moving on from that, it gave me that period there where I had a lot of unbalance within my life, like in terms of like I didn't really go to social occasions. I was very, very all in on this goal. And then I managed to have that 2 week period in between the original shoot and the rebooked shoot where I had actually a little bit more balance, and I still managed to get in great shape or stay in great shape and then produce the result that I did. Is there any other setbacks or any sort of advice that you could give for people that maybe would face some sort of setback with their goals, potentially like injury or anything that might hold them back a little bit from getting to where they want to be?
Well, how to deal with setbacks.
How to deal with it, yeah.
Yeah, so understanding that all these crap things will always pop up, and getting out. And what I found, and this is probably an important piece of advice, I actually went through this with a client this week, is having other things you focus on / hobbies outside of fitness and your health is important. Because from my experience, when you've, and I've been here myself, is when you do get into the gym, you get into fitness, it can be quite addictive, and it can very easily, in an unhealthy way, become obsessive. And you see this quite often with some people, right? Got the different extremes. And you, if you put your whole focus and identity on then just being this fitness, especially if you start seeing some progress and results, you become, and I had it with a client, I'll use the client example, is that was the case, and then they got injured and they couldn't do everything that they were doing, and because the only thing they wanted to focus on was that, and they didn't have anything outside, they become very down, and it's almost like on a different sort of level, with athletes, they put their whole identity being an athlete, and when they retire, they have nothing, don't they? I know that people are getting better at doing that now, but so making sure that you're not 100% all or nothing on this is important. Having other things to focus on, other values, so to speak, outside of fitness, I think can be helpful, because little things, whether it's an illness or injury, will pop up. And also, we'll obviously probably touch on this now, but you'll notice Lewis said about when he was with his photo shoot and his coach. For all the events I've done, I've had a coach me through, because you can come so emotionally, when you do get clear on your goals and stuff, focused and so in it, that you make emotional decisions that aren't always the best. Like, I'm sure if Lewis didn't have his coach with him after that, he may be a different result with how he dealt with that, right? When I was doing my ultra marathon, when it was cancelled out of COVID, I could have easily, after 2 years, probably on my own, would have gone, oh, that's done then. But we thought, actually, we'll wait. You have that second opinion, someone who understands what you're trying to go through, but they're of course they're emotionally invested in it, but not to the degree probably you are. So they can take a step back. It's almost like when you go to a friend for advice, or a parent or a family member or someone close to you for advice, whether it's a breakup or some other stressor, you have that second opinion.
Yeah, often
So
they're able to see
that's really
the bigger
important.
picture.
Those bits are really important when it comes to this, because we all do it, don't you? Like, it's a different example, but how many people do, whether relationships probably a common one, and they've maybe something's gone wrong there, and maybe they've got drunk and they're thinking, I'm going to send this person some drunk angry texts. Different weird example, but where you need someone to say, no, that's not a good idea.
That's a terrible idea. Do not do that. Do not send that text.
But yeah, no, but being serious, I think having some form of accountability, and you'll find that with the coaching side of things, there's so many ways you can get that these days. Like, some accountability there, it can be massively important.
Yeah, 100%.
And other, like I said, other sort of focuses / hobbies that you do outside, I think is really, really important.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget that. I think a lot of people think that when they're trying to pursue the goal of, getting in better shape, like we probably deal with in terms of most of our clients, getting in better shape, getting fitter, stronger, healthier, all those sorts of things. I think a lot of people think that health and fitness then needs to take over their life, and I think a lot of people, I know I certainly did, and
it's easy to do, by the way.
still now, like, still to a degree, I've got like this all or nothing mentality with things. I think, yes, I need to be 100% on it, and I have to try and catch myself in that thinking in that moment and be like, right, what is like the small things that I can do that are gonna move me forward, but it doesn't have to take over my life. Because one thing you'll need to know in terms of getting progress, you don't need to go from like a 3 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10 straight away. You need to go from a 3 out of 10 to a 3.5. That's progress. And that is far more sustainable. You'll be far more consistent by making very small changes to what you're currently doing, rather than trying to overhaul your diet, trying to overhaul your training program, and do like these grand like changes to your lifestyle, it's going
This
to be
is the
really
January
hard.
gym thing, right? People go
100%.
from Christmas into January, I'm going to do all these things, and it's far too unsustainable because when you're forming habits, it's tough. It's like when people try and stop smoking straight away, like, and they try and go cold turkey. Some people can do it. It's very rare, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, everyone vapes now, they don't smoke, but
Yeah, true.
but yeah, it's not, and that comes down to, again, like, having other things to focus on as well. Otherwise you can go and you bury yourself into this thing and it becomes so unsustainable. One thing goes wrong and you think, oh, screw it, it's ruined now. And that's always going to happen. You got little challenges along the way. Things, especially maybe some of you have kids listening, like, that's a challenge. Me and I don't have children, so I have clients who have children, so I can sort of understand what things can go wrong. Like, maybe they're ill, they got to be taken to something. Maybe they've something went wrong with school and you have to attend that, so you can't do, and you think, oh, everything's ruined because it has to be this perfect thing, where it's the case. So these little challenges and this will pop up that can easily throw you off track. So
Yeah, for sure, man. I think, like you said, I think that's where having someone, it doesn't necessarily have to be a coach, but having someone that can sort of see the bigger picture for you is definitely going to be helpful to just keep you on
100%.
track, keep your mind focused on what it is you need to do.
Yeah.
I think that's massively helpful. So in terms of when we come to sort of setting goals now, I think anyone listening, you've probably maybe heard of the term like SMART goals. You might have heard that at school when we talk about setting goals. The SMART acronym being that they need to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. Now, is this something that you use, James, with your clients? Is this something that you go through? What are the sort of steps essentially you would take when you set yourself a goal or when you set clients' goals?
So yes, but I do it differently to those worksheets at school that you used to do,
Mm-hmm.
where you write out SMART and you do. Again, going back to what I said at the start of this, is people think of goal setting, and that's what immediately you think of, isn't it? What, back at school, it was quite a boring task to do, and they were just
100%.
like meaningless things. You didn't really get you to think of what you actually want to do. It was
Yeah.
talking on goal, and the whole idea of the goals of your health and fitness is it's meant to be something that's going to improve the quality of your life, make you feel better, like, and that's what generally it does when you are successful, right? But so many people, like I said, jump in, and maybe it's outside influences, stuff that social media doesn't help with this these days, obviously. Is it actually relevant to you? Like, are you chasing what you actually want? So it doesn't have to be this thing where you write out SMART and you do this thing, but it starts with simply, what do I want to achieve? And thinking about it. Like, what do I want to achieve? Like, not what I think I want to achieve or what certain wants to achieve, or and maybe that's, and I think what holds people back with this is that fear of failure, of thinking what, because it's change, right? And it's, what are people going to think of me? So that's why people don't truly um set things that are relevant to them. I know I've noticed that within my coaching sort of career so far. So this again can be done on your own, but with someone that, if you work with a coach or you're with a coach, it's a process that's really helpful. But if you don't have that right now, is spend some time on your own. Don't do it when you're on social media, flicking your phone.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
saying, I'll always start with new clients. I'll have a question is, okay, what it is we want to achieve. Then following that, why do you want to achieve that? Following that, how do it make you feel if you achieve that? And then an important question after that is, why don't you think you've been successful? And there'll be other things sort of thrown in, but those sort of four questions can be very helpful. Is, what do I want to achieve? Why? Everyone hears, obviously, the
Yeah.
why. Why do you want to achieve it? But I think also why you haven't been successful, and that makes people think. And you sort of think in that head, but if you actually sit down and go through it, and this is very, it doesn't take too long. Is, you think, why haven't I actually done that? And because there's, like I said, I touched on a couple of reasons. Then, generally speaking, it's the fear of failure is a big one. Maybe you've tried in the past, or you've attempted it various times and you haven't been successful. or maybe it's the fear of what other people think. I actually had an example with a client. I didn't currently work with this person, but in the past, who their partner didn't want them. I worked it out that I was thinking, why is their partner not? And we can talk about supportive, like family members and partners and stuff, but not everyone is supportive. If you're with someone and their whole identity is that, and then suddenly they want to make a change. And how often do you see examples of this when people they go and they make changes and then they end up with breaking up with that person?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying this is going to make you break up with your long-term partner, by the way, but these are things to take into account because these are things that can hold you back. And yeah, it's something important to focus on.
Yeah, 100%. I think being aware of that is key, because then I think understanding what the outcome is and maybe what your life is going to look like
So
if you
yeah,
do change.
going on to that is what and maybe this is a hard question to answer straight away, but even thinking about it is how will I feel when I achieve that goal? Like that's how do you feel now? Why you haven't been successful, and how will you feel? And list them. Like I can list some things off here now. Like right, say someone who wants to lose a bit of body fat, but right now you feel a bit self-conscious. Maybe you feel quite low on energy. Maybe which in turn affects your confidence, right? Maybe that's confidence at work. Maybe it could be confidence in different areas. Maybe that's confidence like relationships. Maybe that's confidence just in your everyday life, like doing certain things, right? Like, and maybe you've attempted different things, you've tried different diets, but you failed. Like, and right now, those things are affecting like certain different factors in your life. Okay. So imagine if you want to lose body fat and you do lose maybe 10, 15, 20 pounds. Maybe you build up your energy, you build up strength, you develop, you tone up, you build some muscle. And how you feel, how do you think that's going to affect all these things, right? You're achieving things, so you're naturally going to be more motivated. You're going to have more energy. When you have more energy, you bring more energy into your everyday life, right? You start maybe you start looking because how often like this do you I used to be really shy as a kid, and it's from the gym that I grew confidence, right? But you can't just it doesn't just happen, it's a process. And I'm naturally introverted. I can sit in silence for ages, and I've since like I used to struggle in social elements. And sometimes I go to places where I'm new and I don't know anyone, and I do find it a little bit challenge, but compared to where I was, a million times better. Wow. And that comes from, again, I've built, and it doesn't mean you have to be the in shape or the shredded person or have a
Yeah.
six pack to achieve this, by the way. It could be just achieving something and you're feeling better in yourself. You'll know what that's like. Like you might be someone who wants to just lose maybe, like I said, 10, 15, 20 pounds. And you can imagine how that will affect those other areas, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I think, yeah, 100%. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think achieving things is what will build confidence, and obviously we liken it to sort of fat loss and losing weight, but this doesn't necessarily have to be losing weight. This could be being able to run 5K, and you can't run a 5K right now. Perhaps you
Just being stronger in the gym. Yeah, being stronger in the
100%.
gym.
Maybe you don't even go to the gym. Maybe you just don't feel confident enough to go to the gym right now.
Yeah.
Maybe you do some workouts from home and you build up a little bit of confidence from working out at home. And then finally, after 2, 3, 4 weeks, you step into the gym and you're able to go in there a little bit more confident. You build more confidence from there. You've gone from this shy person that doesn't go to the gym. Now you're confident enough to go in there. That's a massive, massive win, which I think people underestimate a lot of the time. Is they put their goals of like whether it is weight loss, fat loss, and maybe sometimes they miss other areas of progress in terms of they're feeling better. Like you said, their energy is better, their confidence is better, that just in general day-to-day life, they're feeling better. And when I ask people, what is it you want to achieve? And then, you get this sort of generic, I want to lose a little bit of weight, tone up. Like, okay, cool. Well, why do you want to feel that? And we obviously spoke about asking why. And we'll go into like the importance of asking
So
why. And for example, like understanding why you're doing it, it's okay. Well, I want to lose weight because I want to be more confident. It's like, well, if you were to gain more confidence and not lose weight, would would that be positive for you? Oh yeah, it would be. So then you start to take away maybe the weight loss goal or that element. I'm not saying that you can't lose weight. I'm saying that perhaps your goal is a little bit more to do with how you look, how you feel, rather than a number on the scale, right? I don't know if you've worked with any clients before that have maybe, been so focused on like weight loss and then actually then have started to feel better and
I
the
worked with
scale has
anyone who
become less
hasn't.
important. Yeah.
Because you're taught, it's thrown at you angles, right? Lose this much weight, lose this much weight, lose like so you think that's, and what touching on what you said there when you say on lose weight to be more confidence, what's that confidence going to bring you? Like this is okay, I'm going to be more efficient at work, I'm going to be more confident in social, or maybe finding a partner if you don't have one. These are the real reasons, right? It's not because you hear that buzzword all the time, and is confidence, but why? Like, and confidence comes from proof, right? You do things. Again, you can't just be more confident. It comes from evidence of doing something, whether it's this health and fitness, whether it's dating, like maybe you're someone who's trying to meet a partner. You don't just start, there are some people, aren't there, but you don't just start off. The more you do it, the more you get better at doing that.
Yeah, like with anything, right? Practice and practice,
Literally
you get
with
better.
anything, yeah. If you listen to the first time, I wish I had a video. The first time I ever tried chatting with a girl, my God, oh, Jesus Christ, terrible. And I'm no blimmin' super charmer, but I like to think now compared to that time, I'm much better. Speaking to the opposite sex, I obviously have a girlfriend, by the way. So, but yeah, it comes from the repetitive action of doing something and thinking actually that isn't too bad, right? Like this comes from the gym. When you start off in the gym, you look and you're like, oh, I don't know, I've got drift into that free weight area. You start doing some workout, start feeling better, you get a little bit stronger. Actually, give it a go. Like, and that comes from doing it. It doesn't happen in one swoop.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's practice. We like you said, with everything. I think if you scroll through my Instagram and look at the very first,
my first
the
video
very, very first videos that I made, they are so bad. They're so bad. But over time, you practice, you get better, and you build confidence.
You bring the barrier down low. You don't go from trying to put so much pressure on yourself to try and be this perfect thing. Like, okay, I'm just going to do this thing. I'm going to go into the gym first. I'm not going to try and do this crazy workout and hit all these PBs, so to speak. I'm going to get in the gym first. Maybe I'll go and just, if you're someone who is a bit anxious about the gym, just going to go in. I'm going to maybe have a look around and but maybe not join there. Like you start, keep the barrier really low of doing it, and you build from there.
Yeah,
like I said, going back to the January gym thing, you go from someone who's been inconsistent, hasn't been to the gym maybe in ages, and I want to go 5 times a week. How do you think that's going to work? It doesn't. I see this every year. Every year.
Do it for a week.
I'm not seeing one person do that well.
Yeah, I was going to say, you might do that for a week or two, but it's not going to last.
Are you there in 6 months? Are you there in a year, right? Because when you do set this up to align with your lifestyle, it's not this massive chore. You see the value in it. You feel good. So you don't have to be someone who trains every day. Maybe you just do it 2 to 3 times a week, but you do that for years.
Yeah.
You see the value in how you feel. You see it becomes part of your lifestyle, right? And we talk about lifestyle, and that's where you want to get to. That's where, and that's different because your other things outside of life, whether you have children, your job will dictate this. And circling back around to the coach side of things, that's where a coach can be massively valuable, right? Is they help you do this, because the problem with these generic diets or these generic, which is why a lot of people fail, is if it isn't aligned to where you're at right now, then the chances of success are very low. Which is why you get loads of people who do achieve it, but majority of people do fail these generic things because it's not aligned to their lifestyle.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. I think touched on a few really good points there. Just bringing it back to making that barrier low. I think James Clear, Atomic Habits, great book for anyone that hasn't read it. Really recommend reading that. And in there, he talks about how do you actually build habits? How do you actually build positive habits? And that is one of them. Is can you make it easy for you to do. If we liken it to maybe nutrition, for example, if you've got if your cupboards at home are filled with chocolates, crisps, sweets, the likelihood of you eating that is far more than if you had to then go to the shop and get it. It's the same for like with your nutrition. Are you doing a food shop every week? Have you got like the nutritious food available in the house? Because if you haven't, the likelihood of you getting a takeaway is probably much higher than what it would be. So again, it's the little things that you can do. Can you do a weekly food shop? Can you, like James said, can you just go to the gym and have a little look around? Can you take yourself out for a 5-minute walk? Chances are, if you go for a 5-minute walk, you'll probably stay out a little bit longer. Chances are, if you have a look around the gym, you might sign up. These little things that you can implement that aren't this massive chore will help you build, and they'll help you lead to long-term sustainable habits, which is ultimately how people get results. People that you see that are in shape, and obviously I appreciate it's very different for people, but most people that you see that are in good shape have been doing it for years and years and years, and they're just consistent. They do it like James said, it's not necessarily training 5, 6, 7 times a week. It's training 3 times a week, but they do it every single week, and they're just really consistent. And I think that is the key. If you want to get results, then ultimately you have to build those habits, and that is what you need to do, is make it easy, build from there, and then carry on. If someone's listening right now, James, and they're a little bit lost and they're a little bit struggling with what they want to achieve, perhaps, again, we've obviously spoke about in terms of the people that we help, and in terms of who's probably listening, you're probably the person that wants to get in a bit better shape. You probably want to lose a little bit of body fat, get a bit more muscle. You want to get fitter, you want to get stronger, and there's a lot of goals there. How would someone go about making those goals a little bit more specific, and how would they then get started and almost get rid of that noise and the confusion of, oh, I want to do this, but I want to do that. I want to do this, but I want to do that.
Yeah. Well, that, I think for majority of people, when that happens, it's influenced by outside things, whether it's, and normally this is social media. You see people doing all these different things, and someone, I want to build muscle, but someone's doing those runs. Someone's doing CrossFit. And you have all these things, sort of thing. Is take a step away from social media. I don't have to delete the thing, but take a little step away and think, okay, what is it? And as simple as it sounds, it's like I sort of said, going back to those 4 questions, is what do I want to achieve? Maybe you write it down. Maybe because the act of writing it keeps you focused, right? You're not distracted by other things. What's the main thing I want to try? And maybe that's hard to answer straight away, so you commit to one thing. But if you're someone who's struggling with again, struggling with your diet, struggling with maybe you struggle with confidence in the gym, those sort of more extreme things, maybe like CrossFit, for example, might not be the best option to start on. Like, you keep it very simple, right? Like I said, you start with, maybe it's starting with the gym. Maybe it's you just clean up your diet a little bit. You start from there. You get started. But you have to stop the outside influence. That when it comes down to spin all those plates, it's due to, it is comparison. In all cases I've seen with clients, it's down comparing, which I found. So take a step away and then figure out what is you want. And whether that's, like I said, writing it down, that has to be done, I think, on your own, or even speaking to someone about it, right? Like speaking to a family member, your partner, about it, and having that conversation. That keeps the ball rolling, right? How much better do people feel when they speak about things? And you get a little bit more clarity. You're like, you feel a little bit inspired from it, maybe. You tell someone who wants to listen as well. That's important, I think, because some people don't always want to. Like, you're not going to go down the pub with the local weirdo and see him there and start talking to him about getting into the gym after he's smashed at like 3, well, at like 3 in the afternoon. That's an extreme example. You see
Yeah, 100%, man. I think I think it's important. I think, again, you touched on it. Obviously, we spoke a little bit about why, and I suppose we can sort of round up and summarize from here in terms of getting clarity and asking that why. I always liken it to that You know, that annoying 4 or 5-year-old that just asks why on everything, and they want to know and they're curious. And I think it's an important thing to be curious about yourself and your goals. And like I said, we've touched on it. Why do you want to achieve something? Why is it? So again, we can go into it again. So I want to lose weight. Why do you want to lose weight? I want to be more confident. Why do you want to be more confident? Then if you keep asking why, eventually you'll get to those deeper meanings. It might be, you know, you want to have more energy to play with your kids and run around with them, keep up with them. Whatever it is, I think you need to have that clarity, because once you have clarity, I think it's much easier to stick to like a routine and a plan. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. And what I think, once you've gone through that process, it's revisiting, and whether that's at the end of your week with your partner, you think, oh, because you'll have weeks that don't go according to plan, like we said, right? Oh, I've had a shit week. This went wrong. And even just talking about it can help when you sort of reflect on why that is. Okay, I snoozed my alarm. I just maybe work was a little bit busier. Okay, next, rather than throwing in the towel, it was okay. Next week, I'll make it a little bit better. And very rarely, I know some people are unlucky and sometimes that happens, but very rarely you have multiple bad weeks in a row. Just little thing goes wrong, you have a really bad day. Like touching on going out with the all or nothing approach, but speaking about it with someone, can be very helpful. Or if you're someone who likes, because different personalities like to reflect. I'm very good at self-reflecting myself. I do speak about it, but I can do that process on my own. And I do it at the end of each day. As I said, I was going to go to the gym. What I didn't go, oh, that popped up, so that can't be helped. Or I was being lazy, like I couldn't be bothered. Okay, right, I don't want to do that again. And you just reflect at the end of each day. This isn't a long process. Like, this is, it can be instead of just, and with this day and age with so many distractions, again going back to the phone, social media, where I'm just scrolling mindlessly, like this, you can still do that as well, by the way, like but just that little bit of self-reflection at the end of each day, at the end of each week. You don't have to be this like boring process. It's just in your head, or speaking to someone about it, speaking to a friend, like can be very helpful.
Yeah.
Oh, I froze.
Yeah, no, you're all right. We're good. I think you froze a bit. Yeah, James is froze.
I'm still here.
Oh, he's still there. He's still there. But yeah, I think hopefully anyone that's listening, hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you've taken it. I think the main thing to sort of take from it is really ask why, really get clear. Like James said, is, you know, try and take yourself away from social media. Figure out what it is that you actually want to achieve. Set some goals that you want to achieve and start small. Start small, build from there. Remember, as I always say, Rome wasn't built in a day. You're not going to achieve your goals in the next 4 weeks. So there's no need to try and go balls to the wall and try and do everything at once. Think of it more of a lifestyle change. Think of it as a long-term thing. What are the benefits to you achieving this goal? If you can do that, then you will 100% get to where you need to be. It might take a little bit longer than perhaps you'd like it to, but ultimately you will get there if you are consistent enough.
Well, I can't have abs in 4 weeks.
Well, it depends where you're at. Depends where you're currently at, right? It depends on your starting point.
Yeah. I found to be very helpful is, again, like, it's good to follow health and fitness things online, but you see so many of these things, and this is where the comparison comes in. As this person, whenever you look at, I find this is very helpful. Whenever you look at some, whether it's an account, a certain person, maybe it's a coach. Lewis is good because you'll see context. When you look at his client results, and he's achieved some amazing results with clients, read about it. Like, you'll find that these are people with different starting points, different lifestyles, and context is always important, because one client you'll find that achieved that was a completely different lifestyle. Maybe they had so much more less time, so it's going to take a bit longer. It's so those circumstances do apply. So always, rather than getting sucked into these lose this quickest amount of weight in a certain time as this blanket statement, that doesn't, people have different starting points, because you see the weight comparisons, don't you? Is, oh, this person's losing, but they weigh like 50 kilograms more than you.
Yeah.
Of course they're going to lose weight quicker. So always, I find if you're ever looking at certain things, if there's no context with these things added, then it's not always great, because you can easily find yourself comparing and feeling quite crap that this person achieve things much quicker, and all these things are. And if you're struggling and you don't know, reach out to Lewis. Like, you've seen his, you obviously follow him if you listen to this. You've seen his results, and even if it's just a conversation, it starts off with that. It's someone who understands this is his job, this lifestyle. And Phelan Lewis, hit me up. However, maybe my Instagram account is slightly different content these days, but we're going to go on to that.
I like your Instagram account. It's very entertaining. I really enjoy it. I think that's a good place to end. For anyone that is interested in finding you, James, where can they find you?
In Bournemouth and Poole, if you want to find me in person. But no, on a serious matter, online, I do have social media still. James McIntyre. Well, I think my account's James McIntyre Fitness on Instagram. I do use it. I do help people on now. I just don't create fitness content anymore, but I do have messages to people, giving them advice and stuff. I obviously still coach people as well. You'll see client results and stuff on there of the people I've helped. So that's where you can find me.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you very much for joining. We'll jump off and we'll have a conversation once I've stopped recording. But
pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for listening, guys. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care.